Hello and welcome to Access Ann Arbor. I'm your host, Melissa Cohn. Access Ann Arbor provides the opportunity to educate its viewers on a variety of topics. Today we're going to focus on a few of the Michigan State Development Authority programs, specifically the Down Payment Assistance Program, Foreclosure Prevention, and the Federal Tax Credit Program. Joining me today, I have three industry professionals. First, Mr. Eric Dusenberry from the Michigan State Housing Development Authority, also known as MSHDA, Wes McCaig, who is the owner and broker of Visible Homes Real Estate Brokerage, and Donna Ferguson, who is a loan officer with Amira Mortgage. Welcome everyone to the show.
Hello. Thank you.
We've got a lot to cover, so let's get right into it. Eric, we will begin with you.
Right.
We're going to talk about MSHDA, a very important organization here in the state of Michigan. So why don't you tell us just real briefly what you do?
Right. The homeownership division, and that's the division I work for, is basically responsible for putting affordable lending products out on the market through our participating lenders that we have throughout the state. We also oversee a counseling network of counselors throughout the state that allow Michigan residents to go in for different types of counseling. So these counselors are located throughout the state, just as our lenders are, and they're available to Michigan residents who might be qualifying for a MSHDA mortgage or in need of foreclosure prevention counseling and the other counseling services that the counselors have.
Okay, so and there are a variety, like we had mentioned, there's a variety of programs.
Right. The programs that are out there, the main one is down payment assistance.
The down payment, okay.
Right. Down payment assistance program is basically set up for people who have limited cash assets.
Okay.
So if they don't have a lot of assets available to them, we do have down payment assistance that's available for purchases on homes. It's up to $7,500. And there's no payments that's due on the down payment assistance, and there's no interest that accrues on it. And it's available to help with the down payment, the closing costs, and the prepaids, which are the taxes and insurance that are typically due at closing on a loan.
Okay.
And that's pretty much how down payment assistance works. It's typically on an FHA mortgage.
Okay.
It can go on a rural development loan or an RD loan as well.
Okay. Yeah. Kind of shifting gears then, I'm a potential home buyer. I guess, Wes, you could probably answer this. Being the real estate agent, how do you inform or educate a potential buyer?
Well, the nice thing about the program is it will give a buyer more options. So for example, you could have a buyer who's pre-approved for $150,000.
Okay.
They may have a few grand in the bank. So they typically will look at $80,000 houses because that's what they have a down payment for.
Right.
Well, with this program, now they can utilize their full pre-approval because they only need 1% into the transaction, which would be $1,500. So they would have that money. So now they can look at homes between $80,000 to $150,000. So it gives them a lot more options.
Okay. Do you, is this a more of something that's not as well known, this program? Or is that what we're trying to?
Exactly, because as Eric mentioned, there's a list of approved lenders who can offer it.
Okay.
So sometimes when a client is, or a potential home buyer is talking to their loan officer, that loan officer may not be approved by the state to offer the program, so they may not be informed of it. So.
Okay. Well, then I guess I'm going to go back, Eric. Well, how can they then take advantage of this?
Well, we do have and maintain on our website a list of approved lenders. So MSHDA, Michigan State Housing Development Authority, will go out and meet with lenders, get them signed up, train them on our program offerings.
Okay.
So that when people come in and apply for a mortgage, loan officers and experienced lenders, they will go out and they'll look at the loan application itself, make determinations of whether or not the people have enough cash to close. So, in the normal process of things, and Donna will probably get to some of that later on, when they look at an application, if they're limited with the cash to close, the natural course of action would be look at the down payment assistance program. So really they start with, going to our website, looking for approved lenders. If they go to our website and look at our lenders list, there's an experienced lenders list with loan officers that do quite a few MSHDA loans. So they're posted there for them to see.
Okay, so then okay, so then a potential buyer can, so if they don't have someone to use, is that how that works?
That's what it's there for, yeah. We have on our website a list of participating approved lenders, and they can be really big organizations, you know, some of the national organizations, they're all signed up. Well, only maybe a few of their loan officers do those types of loans. So we also layer kind of on top of that experienced lenders that are lenders that do quite a few MSHDAs. Their experience level is a lot higher.
Okay.
And one thing I want to jump in for a sec.
Sure.
When you had mentioned cash to close, in some instances, you'll have a buyer who may have a little bit of money for their down payment, but they don't have the money for their closing costs, which still affects the cash that they need for closing.
Right.
What happens typically in a situation like that is they would ask for the seller to contribute towards their closing costs. But the problem with that is that a lot of sales out there, homes for sale, it's limited. So a short sale, we've seen short sales where they limit the seller credit to 1% or 3%. We've seen other ones where they don't even offer it at all. So with the MSHDA, you can also use the money for closing costs. And again, as I had mentioned earlier with the options, again, that's another example how it offers the home buyer more options.
Okay. Is that do you see that primarily with homes that are short sale? I mean,
Yeah, absolutely. The majority of short sales cap the seller credit at 3%.
okay.
And if the short sale is an FHA short sale, meaning that the seller's mortgage is an FHA mortgage, that's usually capped at 1%.
Okay.
So the buyer needs to not only have their down payment, but they need to have their closing costs as well. And that's tough. That's tough for a
Sure.
lot of
Oh,
people,
yeah.
so that's where this
Sure.
program is fantastic.
Yeah, and I could give you maybe a brief example of that. If someone's looking to buy, you know, a $100,000 house, if down payment assistance is $7,500 and it's limited at that, it can take care of the 3.5% down payment
Okay.
that would be required for that purchase, which is $3,500. The closing costs could be up to $2,000, and prepaids can be how much, Donna?
Oh, they could vary depending on what the taxes are
You know,
for the home that they choose.
that
Okay.
down payment assistance can take care of the closing cost, prepaids, which are the taxes and insurance, and the down payment. So they can move in for 1% of the purchase price, which would be $1,000, which would be a lot different than a standard FHA deal where they're looking to put, you know, in excess of 5 or 6% into the purchase price.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one other thing it does too is it makes the offer stronger, because one of the things we
Sure.
see a lot of, and sometimes you see this with foreclosures, is that they'll actually list the home a little bit below market value, and it creates a little bit of a bidding war on the house. Well, the people who are asking for seller credits on top of their offer are a little bit at a disadvantage. So again, it puts them in a better position by using this program.
Putting the program. Okay.
Yeah, when you don't have to ask for the seller credit,
Right.
it's to your advantage.
Okay. Donna, let's kind of turn over to you. Tell us about what's your perspective, your experience with this program as a loan officer.
Oh, I think it's a great program. It's especially now in the market that we're in. It is typically a first-time home buyer market. And that's what you'll find. A lot of first-time home buyers don't have the cash
Sure.
needed
Right.
to purchase a home, and this just helps them greatly, you know, to be able to get up to $7,500 and only have to have 1%. So it's really been a great program. I mean, I've had a lot of success with it, and I'm doing very well with it. So
Good. Okay. How do home buyers, first-time home buyers, usually hear about this program? Is it through the realtor? Is it through online searching? How would they hear about it if it's not on this? If they haven't heard about it?
I think
from
a
the
lot
show?
of it is referrals from people who have
Referrals.
done the program. A lot of them do look up on the MSHDA website. They're just looking for first-time home buyer, and it pops up. Or they'll look, if they're searching for homes, they'll find websites. Your website has a MSHDA link to it.
Link. Okay. So.
Or is
Yeah,
it-
and especially in today's world where everyone Googles everything,
Right.
it's or, you know, internet searches.
It's easy to.
Yeah,
stumble.
they're definitely doing more research than ever online, for sure. And
Okay.
so that's one way they can find out about it.
Something else I was going to ask was about the requirements, the property requirements. Is that as in location, the size of the home, the lot? What are some of the requirements?
The property requirements typically for MSHDA loans, they're not really any different than your other agencies like Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, or FHA.
Okay.
We're looking typically for primary residences. So no
Oh,
investor
okay.
homes. Typically single-family detached condominiums if they're approved by the agencies, again, which are Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and FHA. And then manufactured housing if it's multiple sections. Those can work.
Okay.
Some of the overlayments on that are more related to the borrower's qualifications, and some of those we can get to real quickly. Possibly, you know, the income limitations MSHDA has. You know, it's typically for low to moderate income, but that income really, when people think of low to moderate income, it really ranges from about $62,000 to over $100,000.
Okay.
So it covers a lot of room of where the incomes fall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wes, real quick, can you explain the home buying process?
Yeah.
Just real briefly.
Yeah. Well, typically what the first thing a buyer would do is talk to a loan officer.
Okay.
Because they want to know,
What they
how much,
can-
what their buying power is. But
Right.
they also want to know what a payment that they would feel comfortable with. So that's usually the first step. And then after that, you know, they have their criteria. They start looking at homes that meet that criteria. And once an offer is accepted, basically most buyers, it's not required, but most buyers will get a home inspection. And that's where an inspector will come in, inspect the roof, furnace, the meats and potatoes of the house.
Right.
Well, from that point on, once the inspection's good and they want to move forward with the deal, really the majority of the process is just working with their lender and getting the mortgage fully approved and getting it ready for closing.
Okay.
Really, the only other thing we would do with the buyer at that point is do a final walkthrough
Okay.
before closing to make sure the home's still in the same condition as when
Okay.
they saw it last.
Okay. So I'm a potential first-time home buyer. What would be the first step? I mean, I most likely am probably I'm already going to be searching the internet. I'm already probably going to be looking at houses and what I like. What would be the next step for me?
I think getting your first is to find a lender and get your pre-approval because
Before I even...
right, because your offer in most cases they will not even be accepted unless you have a pre-approval from a lender.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay.
Most agents won't even present the offer to their seller
Okay.
without a pre-approval with accompanied with the offer.
Okay. Eric, what about I guess I want to ask about the interest rates.
Well, our rates typically at MSHDA, we sell bonds to finance our mortgage operations. And we only do that once or twice a year. So our rates don't move up and down like bank rates do.
Okay.
Our rates right now are 4.25% on a 30-year fixed without a down payment assistance loan, and that's well below market value. Our market rates for a 30-year fixed with down payment assistance, it's at 4 5/8. So the rates on our mortgages right now are very good.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think we're gonna take a short break, and then when we come back, we're gonna shift gears, and we've got other programs to focus on. Okay, don't go anywhere. We will be right back.